Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, Benchwarmers? We're starting fantasy. This week's fantasy episode, and I hope I catch these two guys off guard. Marco and Nico are joining me for this fantasy preview for game week 14. I believe it's 14. Is that right? Is it 14? Is it 14, guys?
No,
yes?
You
14?
caught me so off guard that I don't even know.
38.
No, it's not.
It
is not.
Diego says it's a marathon, not a sprint so much. So,
for real, you cut me off so badly that I don't even know if the record is gonna get you the first like 2 seconds of your rant. But okay.
Well, in any case, what's up, Benchwarmers? Thanks for joining us on this fantasy episode. I'm joined today with Marco and Nico. This is your Game Week 15 preview. We're also going to go over the results for the previous Game Week 14, which was a bit of a firecracker as far as score lines, goals scored, and surprises, actually, if you want to count it that way. Just to go over the usual housekeeping, and we thank you for joining us, listening to us, and participating with our podcast. You can find us on all the major and your favorite podcasting platforms, whether it's Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts, by searching Benchwarmers FC. Nico, they can also participate us on social media by searching what?
They can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Benchwarmers FC 1. Number one, by the way. The number one.
The number one. That's right. And Marco, where can they watch our number one Benchwarmers videos?
You can watch us on YouTube at Benchwarmers FC
TV. Which is the source for all of the antics that goes on behind the scenes. If you're listening to this on audio, or if you'd like to sit down and watch our faces grace your screen, you can also do so on YouTube. So, guys, I'm going to just put it right there, put it out there, and put it bare. How'd you do this week? Nico, how was your team?
Well, I got above average now. So, but overall, Rashford kind of, was a fraud this weekend. So I kind of blame it on him. But yeah, I got 66 points, 6 above the average. Another Bruno Salah escape. Save my ass. So,
yeah, definitely. And the recurring theme was, I remember I texted you early in the game week with Salah benched, all caps, and you're like, yeah, I knew it. I mean, I know Salah's cousins, uncles, sisters, boyfriends, hairdresser, and he told me that he was going to be benched. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So a lot of people were actually very happy that they didn't captain Salah. And that was one of them, because I put it on Bruno, and then Salah went off in a super sub cameo, scoring 2 goals and an assist, playing 33 minutes. And he ended up with 16 points, which was phenomenal fantasy points wise. And fantasy points wise, we can go to someone that actually had an amazing week. And I texted you about it because I was like, holy crap, this is huge. And I mean, going further into the saga, it might not have been as huge, but Marco, how did you do?
I mean, it would have been huge if Cat didn't walk away with 93 points, which was the second best of this week. I was the best with making 100 for the first time in the past 4 years. I was the best this 1 week.
I am the best.
I was the best this 1 week. In the past 4 years of me playing, I've never made it to 100 points, and this is the first time I've actually done it. So I was very excited about it. I also did captain Salah, which he did come in and was clutch for us, because I was nervous. I'm like, oh my god.
Who was your vice captain, Marco?
Son, I think.
No, your
vice was
Vardy.
Vardy
was Vardy with 12 points.
Which is not bad. Was not bad.
Yeah,
I considered Fernandes, but I thought Leeds was gonna do a lot more than what they did. So that the trust in Leeds was the one that took me away from captaining Fernandes. But it worked out at the end. Look, I walked away with 100 points. I'm not gonna be mad about it. I've said my number one goal is to catch up to Gat, and slowly, I'm doing it. I'm only 17 points away. I had for 1 day, I could say I was at the 10 mark. But I mean, it's like Diego was saying, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So there's so many weeks to go. So much games to play. So many points to make. This one, I will give it to Diego.
Thank you for acknowledging the suggested advice that we give on this podcast, on this fantasy episode, which we always remind you guys, because Marco took it to heart in the beginning of the season. Anything that you do take away from this fantasy series is just suggested, and we cannot take any liability or responsibility for any points that you may gain or get docked for your choices that you make for your team. That being said, going over the Benchwarmers FC Fantasy League, the positions in Kepa We Trust has been commanding a lead for quite a few months now. This manager has been in first place for quite a while, already breaking the 900-point mark with 74 points this game week. Second and third are You Don't Matter and Liverpool making up the top 3 places. I'm sat in 4th place very comfortably with 87 points. I Love You Hannah is in 5th. And going down the top 10, we have Eric in 8th place. And we have Josue in 11th. Nick right behind him in 12th. And to check in on the Marco versus Gat challenge,
you don't have to scroll that further that down anymore.
In Bruno We Trust in 13th, coming up with a 93-point haul. And Marco just doing enough to better him, which is what counts. These differences count. You know what? You did 7 points better. I wouldn't be surprised if it came down to the wire and it was within a 10-point difference at the end of the season. This is what matters to keep putting points on the board. Marco climbing up out of the bottom places in the league and is in now 15th place, which is fantastic for someone who was getting demolished for being too far of a scroll. So this episode, we usually go about the format with the Benchwarmers Club and with the watch list. I am changing that around a little bit because there is very important information, which I would hope that a lot of people, even if you're a beginner, there is a double game week and a blank game week coming up. So Nico, I know you have a bit of an understanding about this. Can you explain to our listeners what a blank game week is?
A blank game week is when 2 teams do not play at all.
Right? That is correct. And there are several teams, because of their cup ties and because of some other competitions that are happening, they will be missing in game week 18. So we will only have, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's 6 matches that are going on for game week 18. That's a blank game week. So there are several players which you may own that are not going to feature. And for the double game week, for anyone who is not aware, the double game week is when many of those fixtures are rescheduled. And so even though they may be on a different day, they still count towards the same game week fantasy wise. So right now I'm going to ask you, Nick, do you still have your wild card? The first one.
I don't.
I used it
way too early on. So now I have to rely on hits, in which I did a hit to get Ratchet in, which didn't work out.
Okay. But yeah, you're set up though.
I already used my wild card.
You're set up. Even though Rashford does blank in 18, he has a double game week in 19. So, for example, United play on the 17th of January, which is a Sunday, and then the 20th, which is a Wednesday. Liverpool and Fulham, respectively, even though they're different days, they count towards the same game week score. So, essentially, Rashford will be playing double. Marco, do you still have your first wild card?
No, I used that the third week.
So there's a lot of people which may have used their first wild card, and this is for you guys, myself included. If you have no wild card remaining, there are 2 things that you can do. One, the second wild card of the season is coming up. Will be activated for you on game week 17. It will be available for you to use on game week 17, which is 1 week before the blank and the double. However, there has already been confirmation. If you want to follow this person on Twitter, I would highly recommend it. This is a very in-the-know and knowledgeable account. This is Ben Krellin on Twitter. Ben Krellin is the ultimate, expert as far as the scheduling for the game weeks. And he constantly is putting up very simple and easy to understand schedules so you can navigate what players you want on your fantasy team. He has confirmed that there will be another double game week, albeit maybe not as large as this one coming up on game week 19. There will be a second double game week in game week 26. And this is due to some of the cup ties being rescheduled during that week. And there will be a small blank just before that as well. And that will be not as crazy as this one coming up. I believe he had mentioned that only maybe 4 teams will be missing. So 2 matches will be played less during the blank. So what I'm saying here is, if you do not have your wild card, you can do 2 things. You can wait for the second one to come and utilize it. So you can set up for this game week in 19, this double that is already planned out and confirmed, or you can hold on to that and rely on the next 3 or 4 game weeks to prepare your team with as many players as possible. So, Marco, we're going to start with your team, and I know you did great. You have a very stacked, I think, front seven. I think that's a fantastic team. Bruno, Son, Salah, Grealish, Bamford, Vardy, and Calvert-Lewin. Several of these players are participating in the double game week, with some of them only playing once in the blank and in game week 19. So looking at any adjustments to your team, any kind of, I guess, surgeries that you want to do coming up soon, is there someone that you know that you might want to upgrade for your team?
I don't have the points right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been debating to get Grealish out, but there's nobody that's closer to him in price and in points. So I don't want to waste my money on taking him out. I've been wanting to take Mitchell out. I haven't been able to do so. So I'm debating. I'm trying to figure this out.
Mitchell could be an upgrade that you can do. I would say for anyone that does own Grealish, he does have some difficult matches coming up. However, Grealish with Aston Villa is one of the few teams, one of the 6 teams that's playing during the blank. So there will be several managers that may not have certain players that are available to participate in the blank for game week 18. That said, Aston Villa do play Spurs, Man City play Brighton, and those are the 2 fixtures which are very much being targeted right now. Everton play away to Wolves, so Calvert-Lewin is probably someone that you want to keep on your team. And for Newcastle, you also have one of the strikers that are there against Sheffield United in probably the form of Callum Wilson. Nick, you brought in Rashford, and you said he was a bit of a fraud. You are set up, though, if you want to keep him for the double. Is there someone that you're looking at offloading? I see you got 2 big orange triangles on your team and 1 red one. Who are you looking to maybe offload or upgrade?
Oh my God, I am in such a predicament. I got Lamptey, red flag, Reece James, and Ings, yellow flag. So I heard that Lampard said that Reece James probably won't be available for the next 2. And then I heard, what's the Brian's manager? Potter? Harry
Yes,
Potter.
Graham Potter, yeah.
I heard he won't be out for long, so it says expected back 29th of December. But oh my God, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, you do
I don't know what
have
to get out.
an injured Ings right now, which is an 8
What's the
point,
news on him?
I believe is an 8.4. I don't think he's going to be available for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks. Hamstring injuries are very tricky, and I don't believe there was much information given for Ings as far as his return, but he is going to be out. And you're absolutely right about Reece James and Chilwell. Chilwell and James have been confirmed to miss at least the next 3 games, possibly because they'll be out for a minimum of 2 weeks. James might be fit before then, but Chilwell is definitely confirmed out, so to speak, for the next 2 matches, which will come in the next 10 days or so. So unfortunately, he will miss a good amount of action for Chelsea, which is someone those are some players that a lot of people wanted to pick up, especially to navigate the blank and the double. So looking at your team, though, even though you have Rashford, they have a difficult game against Leicester, but then they do have Wolves and Villa along with the double. So just capitalizing maybe on a United player early on could be a good strategy. However, for
I messed up. I messed up big time on getting Ings in for Calvert-Lewin, because if I want to get Calvert-Lewin back, right, I would have to basically like lose all my money.
No, not really, because I believe Calvert-Lewin is still what? Is he 8.2?
That's all right. No,
he's 7.9.
Yeah, 7.9. So you'd actually be saving if you do that swap. And if you do that swap, actually, while we're here, you might as well. Calvert-Lewin, even though he doesn't have a double in 19, he's one of the very few players that are playing in blank game week 18 against Wolves. Even though Wolves are considered to be a team that defend pretty well, definitely having someone, or at least a core of 3, 4, even 5 players to get you through that blank game week is up to you. So coming back and bringing back the conversation to the chips, some of the chips that you can employ for this blank and this double, and you might get tired of me saying it, over and over. But the free hit is one chip that you can utilize. Just keep in mind that any free transfers that you have accumulated when you play the free hit will be forfeit. So let's say you have 2 free transfers, you will not get those back when the free hit is over. The next week you will only have 1 free hit available. So free hit lets you choose any players that you want, and they will be active for the current game week that you activate it for before the deadline. If you activate it for game week 18, which is a blank, you can maybe stock up on some of those players. The fixtures aren't that great. I think you may want to double up somewhere between Aston Villa, Spurs, and Everton, and then hit a triple city in your team. Again, you'd have to rely on these teams doing exceptionally well in order for you to get some points. And then keep in mind that your team will then revert back to what it was the game week prior, which would be your game week 16 team. If you want to use your wild card in order to bench boost, you have to keep in mind that you cannot use your wild card and another chip in the same game week. So if you try to set up your team after the deadline on game week 18 and say, I'm going to leave it early for game week 19, I'm going to get as many players as I can that are playing a double fixture, and then I'm going to activate the bench boost, it would not work that way. You would have to set up your team at least 1 or 2 weeks prior if you're going to free hit or not. So guys, some of the players, that I would recommend, and I saw you had one of them, Marco, and someone that I'm considering myself, Thomas Souček from West Ham, very cheap, an enabler, a good person to have in your 5th midfield slot, and part of a West Ham team that has a very decent double fixture in the double game week, at home to Burnley and at home to West Brom. So I believe also Vladimir Sufal, the right back for West Ham, he is also one to watch for this double game week in 19. And I'm only focusing on that right now because I believe the double game week is where you should focus to get the bulk of your points. If you want to use one of your chips to maybe capitalize on 10 to 20 points on the blank game week, that's perfectly fine. But I think it would be more beneficial to your overall score if you try to get as many players as possible that have a double into your team between now and 19, so that you can set yourself up nice. And you could even use a bench boost by downgrading one of your players. So I see that neither of you guys have him, but since I do have him, I'll talk about him right now. Kevin De Bruyne hasn't been performing too greatly, and his latest game week scores of 3, 4, and 5 have been definitely lacking. He did have double-digit fixture point returns in the fixtures for game week 10 and 11, but Kevin De Bruyne could be someone that you could maybe downgrade in order to have players that are able to perform for your double game week. De Bruyne, however, this is the dilemma. City are one of the few teams that are playing during the blank. So if you get rid of those City players, you will not have them probably in time for the blank game week. You can consider getting rid of the City players after the blank game week with a free transfer or a hit. But again, this is something that I would encourage everyone to take, maybe a few minutes or so to plan out, look at your team and see who you want to upgrade. Another player that is on the radar right now for the double, if you want to highlight him, Stuart Dallas from Leeds. Leeds have also 2 pretty good fixtures on paper, at home to Brighton and at home to Southampton. Southampton with Ings out I believe, this is just me, I believe they could have some difficulty getting on the score sheet without Ings. I know they were coping pretty good without him for those few game weeks while he was out, but Che Adams and Theo Walcott, yes, while they can be effective in certain games, they could also run dry. And relying on a player like Ward-Prowse, who has played every minute of the Premier League so far this season, he has not missed a single minute for his team. I believe that could be a lot to ask of the Southampton team. So they may not get clean sheets, Leeds players, but Dallas as well as Rafinha in the midfield going forward look like players that you might want to pick up. So Nico, what do you think that you're going to prioritize moving forward, the blank or the double?
I think I might prioritize the double just because there's like so many teams to capitalize on. You have City, United, Liverpool. I was looking at West Ham. So with a double, I was looking at West Ham players because they face Burnley at home and West Brom away. So I was hoping that maybe Antonio was fit for that and maybe pick him up and along with the likes of maybe never know Cheeky Bowen or Sufal in the back. So yeah, no, I'm looking at the double.
The double for sure. West Ham are playing both of those games at home to Burnley and to West Brom. Unfortunately, yes, Antonio hasn't been showing signs of recovering from his injury. He would have been a perfect pick. But like I had mentioned earlier, and at the time of recording, we might see a rise for Sufal, the West Ham right back, arguably amongst West Ham fans reading on forums and chats and all that stuff on postings. Probably one of their top three performers this season. Vladimir Sufal. He's been a revelation for them, along with Thomas Suchek, who Nico was just complaining off air about him scoring so often. Every time you see West Ham are up, you go and check, and it's freaking Thomas Suchek yet again. And he's still cheap. That's the thing. He's still cheap, and he'll enable you to spread your funds out a little bit more. So one of the things that I was considering and explaining to Nick, since he's prioritizing the double game week, you're looking at players like Man City, which only play once during the 19, and they only play also once during the blank. Um, Players like De Bruyne who haven't been performing well, but you could pick up defenders like Diaz, like Ruben Diaz, or even the goalkeeper Ederson, which are nailed on positions for Guardiola's side. We've seen a lot of rotation in terms of Mahrez, Bernardo, Ferran Torres, Jesus, Aguero, Sterling. I don't believe that any of them have a steady stream of 90-minute appearances over the last 5 weeks. And this is something that you could probably take into strong consideration before making a choice. Marco, that's a lot of talk, a lot of fixtures. I know it's a lot to digest, but looking at the blank and looking at the double, which do you think that you're going to set up for? Or are you going to attack both?
I know. I think if I'm more concerned about the blank. So I might start setting up 2 weeks in advance because I do have 2 free transfers right now. I might start hitting up. If I can't, then I might be using that free hit for the blank and just bring in players that will not be in my squad. But I want to see where do I fit better? Do I have more players that are going to be doing doubles or more players on the blank side? So depending on the answer on that, that's what I want to do. And then for my wild card, I might just wait a little longer. I don't want to use it too quick.
Fair point. That's actually absolutely true. Looking at your squad, if you have more players that are participating in the blank, you might want to prioritize that and make your transfers to do the blank game week and take maybe a leg up above other managers who may not have as many. And then if you have more players that are in the double game week, you may want to prioritize that. The reason why is because if you do free hit, for example, in the double game week, and let's say I'm going to pick 11 players that play twice. All of them are going to play twice. You will not be able to use a secondary chip like bench boost, which more likely than not, there will be many managers using the bench boost during the game week 19 because either they use their second wild card early or they've been patient enough and still have their first wild card that will expire at game week 16, by the way. So 2 game weeks from now, which will be next weekend. Next week after the Boxing Day fixtures, it will be on Monday. So this game week 15, just to go over it, and so we can wrap up this episode, game week 15 is going to start on Boxing Day, and it will continue into Sunday, and then right away on Monday morning, we're going to have game week 16. So you literally have that night to plan your team, to make your changes, make your transfers, and keep plowing away to set yourself up for the blank and the double game weeks. So guys, it's pretty much a review. I know we're probably going to be in touch next week again to review how things went, and I'll have definitely a bit more of a fleshed out schedule for myself, because I'm still looking at it as well, to how we're going to attack this double game week and this blank, and what the best situation is for the chips. And if you are listening to this and you want to get in touch with us, make sure that you send us a comment, leave us a DM, get in touch with us on our Instagram, send us your fantasy questions, and we'll make sure to feature them on the upcoming episodes. My name is Diego, and I've been joined tonight by Marco and Nico. Thanks, guys, for participating, as always, with above average Nico and beyond average Marco.
This week only.
For this week only. And the Gat versus Marco saga will continue into the new year. So we're going to be working on that to see how we can feature new ways to engage you guys with this challenge. My name's Diego. Just to wrap this up, we're the Benchwarmers. This is the Bench with the Voice, where the bench is always warm. Peace, everybody.